This is Breaking Down Security, and I am Brian Brake. Welcome back, listener. This is Brian, Mr. Betcher, and Miss Berlin for Breaking Down Security.
Hi, I'm back.
Yep. Now we gotta be
back.
Now we gotta be good, Mr. Betcher. Put your pants back on, dude.
Okay.
Just don't stand up.
Fine.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, it was like on Twitter. What was that? Edgar Rojas. He was like, why does it look like everybody's cold when they're showing hacker pictures? They got their hoodie and their ski mask and everything. I posted.
They're not wearing pants.
Yeah, real hacker picture. I had some guy in a big giant beard. He's got a suit on, and all you can see is bare legs under his desk. So I was like, that should be a real hacker picture. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, Miss Berlin. We gave her a couple weeks off, so
yeah, I had vacation, and then I was super sick, so that was fun.
You got sick? What, like con flu?
Yeah. No cons. It was Disney flu.
Oh, ew!
From all the yucky people down there, I guess.
Yeah.
The urchins
yeah.
swimming through the filth.
Right. So I got sick, and then I just recently got better.
Did you go to Space Mountain?
I did. Yeah,
Nice.
We did Space Mountain. We did Splash Mountain. We did another one that I think is in the Animal Kingdom.
Now I heard there's a new section, right, with Beauty and the Beast stuff, right? Did you go there? Did you go to Florida or California?
Florida.
Okay, so there's a new section there. They were building it last time I took the kiddos. Okay, so y'all didn't go in it because it was too much?
She's got like 3 boys, so
I have 3
the Beauty
boys.
and the Beast thing is not,
okay.
We spent a lot of time near Star Wars
Future
stuff.
World.
Yeah, lots of Star Wars.
Okay, got
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
Epcot. Yeah.
Hey boys, let's go to Beauty and the Beast. No,
they loved Epcot. They absolutely loved Epcot. Yeah. Darth Vader was their favorite.
Right on. You should let them meet Uncle Kevin, Mr. Johnson.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I think they'd love it.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be at DerbyCon this year. So hopefully we'll be at DerbyCon this year. I keep hearing that it's going to sell out quick. So
I will. My children will not.
You still get your place in line, right? Camped out.
Yeah.
The hotel.
No. From what I understand, the hotel rooms are going really, really quick this year, and
but they're not booked. I mean, they're not released yet.
I hope they have a room block because there's no rooms available at that place if you aren't going to DerbyCon. So,
right. I think they just booked the whole hotel.
That's good.
I mean, that is their room block, is the hotel.
Gotta hope so. All right.
And then half of the area.
I get weirded out, when I don't have stuff of it ready to go. So, tickets for DerbyCon go on sale May 6th, or May 7th for everyone else. May 6th for me. So, yeah, yes. May 7th for everyone else. May 6th for me. So, yeah. All right. So we're here to talk about InfoSec stuff, but Miss Berlin went to, on her vacation, she went to an InfoSec con called AIDE, A-I-D-E.
Yes.
What does that stand for?
Appalachian Institute of Digital Evidence.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ooh, that's forensics.
I love
that. It's a Marshall University thing.
Go Marshall.
Yep.
So that's put on by Bill Gardner, right?
It is. And I was almost on the BBC.
Shut up. Really?
Yeah. I was too drunk to go on camera.
Now that's impossible. Have you seen the BBC?
Right.
Some people they interview on the BBC.
These guys from the BBC, like these tall British dudes. It was 11:30 at night. They run across. It was pouring, sleeting rain, and they run across the street and start interviewing 4 people that have just left the bar in West Virginia. What could go wrong?
What could go right?
I'm not going on TV for that.
Well, what is the BBC doing in West Virginia to begin with?
Actually, what I learned from Bill and his wonderful girl Blair is that Huntington, West Virginia is one of the top most heroin problems. I think it's heroin or cocaine, one of the two. I can't remember.
I thought
The
you were
stuff
going to
that
put
makes your
out
teeth
something.
fall out, right?
Yeah, meth.
Yeah, something like that. One of those drugs that I don't know.
I thought you were going to say something positive there, but I guess
No. So they were there covering that, I guess, was this big drug problem. But that's not what they asked us about. They ran over and they asked us about the bombing in Syria. And Bill Gardner actually went on, and he was on the BBC, and I was huddled in the corner giggling.
Such an ambassador for our country.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So back to aid. So there's a lot of DFIR talks. So you went and you gave a talk on like the CTF club stuff, like what we're doing on our Slack.
Yeah, it got some good reviews. I think it was the perfect audience for it too, because a lot of it was the Bandit CTF,
right?
And I didn't have him record it because I thought that would kind of be cheating and kind of like I don't like creating walkthroughs or anything for that kind of stuff either. So that's the first talk I've not had recorded. Cool. But I think it went well. A lot of the people didn't have really any Linux knowledge, and a lot of them were really kind of scared to take a CTF or like start a CTF if there was one going on. So there are a couple people that like participated in it as I was giving it, and somebody else at the end said, that kind of gave him the push that he needed because he didn't realize that's what was involved in going into a CTF.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Yeah, Bandit is a good one if you don't know any Linux. I mean, really the only thing you got to worry about is learning how to use SSH, which they show you on the instructions on Over the Wire.
Yeah. And it's super easy.
Yep.
I mean, it can be intimidating if you don't know what you're getting into, but doing that kind of stuff at home if you're bored is relatively trivial. They have good instructions, and I mean, if you need help, there's our Slack channel and stuff too.
That's right. We have a Bandit war game going on right now on our Slack channel, as well as an ATAS, which goes on every Tuesday. We're really sucking on that one. So if you have any blind SQL knowledge, please join us because we need all the help we can get.
I think Matt helped us finish level 17.
Oh, good.
He actually he tweeted about it. He told his wife that he'd be done in a second, and then spent another hour writing a Python script for level 17. So
he's a good guy.
Life of a programmer. That's
right.
Yeah, that's what happens.
All right, so
I've done that many times.
Well, that's a good segue into our next little bit. So logmd.com, which is your pet project, Mr. Betcher, you posted your first video.
Yeah.
On
log-md.com. If you go to that website and hit video on the menu bar, I posted a video. Michael and I made it today, and we decided let's put out some content like this. Let's show people what we do when we get a malware sample. Now, we obviously have a lot of other things to do at our job, a lot of other responsibilities. So we want to spend as little time as possible on each item and still get the job done. So that's kind of why we created LogMD, to speed up the process of finding these artifacts, finding what a particular malware sample does, and then get on to our other duties as assigned. Right. Sure. So the video's less than 5 minutes, and it shows us detonating malware on the machine. We had first baselined it, but then we detonated in our lab, and then we go through what we do with LogMD. We find all the artifacts, that the processes that are running and that executed. We find the auto runs, and we also find what the malware talked to. And that's important, those three things, because you need to know where to find it if you want to clean the box without re-imaging. You need to know how to get rid of persistence, so delete run keys or whatnot. And then you need to know the IPs that it talked to, because if you have logging in your network environment, then you can find out if anyone else in your organization also got infected just by the IPs that it talked to. So that initial download is what we key on for our alerts. So we've had malware come through email. We detonate it in a lab in 10, 15 minutes. We get all the artifacts together and we tune our alerts. And then all of a sudden, Bob over there in accounting also clicked on it. So, we can go find Bob, locate him, and clean up his machine as well. So that's how we do it. And we're going to post more videos as we get more samples. All these samples act differently. Of course, some are the same family and that kind of thing. So yeah, check out the video. There's no audio to it. You just look and see what we did. I didn't have time to do any kind of commentary as we were going, but yeah, it's a first stab. We'll get better.
Yeah. So do you ever think about, you mentioned different families. Are you guys at the point now where you've gotten enough malware where you could start classifying them according to, families or types or whatever, much like the way threat intelligence people work?
I don't know. We haven't thought about it as far as classification. Sometimes we'll look it up on Virus Total and it'll say like generic downloader, things like that. And then sometimes our intrusion detection system will catch it and they'll call it, it's a Zeus family, or it's a Dridex, or it's this, that, and the other. Oh. So they probably have more intelligence on what kind of family it is. Yeah. And then we just, if they catch it, then we copy that. This is one that it didn't catch. So I'm not sure why, but cool. There it is. It's a new one. And if you watch the video, normal people will say, well, it didn't work, but we let the data do the talking, and you'll see that. There's a little glitch in there because I kind of ran LogMD too fast and the malware didn't have time to finish writing persistence. And so the first report I opened up was the auto run report, which has one line in it, but it was empty because it didn't write auto runs yet. So I had to delete all the reports and start running LogMD again. And there it was, boom. So we have to give them a little bit of time. Sometimes they have time bombs in them where they would ping Google for, 5, 10, 15 minutes and then do their thing. So you got to watch that. That kind of evades the sandboxes as well. It's one of the techniques they use. Hey, let's just spend a lot of time and then we'll do our thing.
Yeah, especially if you have something sandboxing that's like time sensitive. If you're not if you're not sandboxing like manually, if you have something in line that's trying to get it to the person like right away, like before they open the attachment or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not going to wait.
If you have these sandbox detonators, it may take a long time. Whereas, if it takes 15 minutes, then 30 other people might get those emails. And as we know from some of our previous guests, they've spammed people in the organization. It only takes 30 seconds. They get their first click, right?
Yep.
So
I have a question because I don't know a whole lot about malware. With the time bomb thing, are they always just pinging out?
The ones we've seen lately just ping out. They do like a ping minus N, and then 250 is one of the common ones. So 250 pings.
I just feel like that would be super easy to put into a sandbox thing because, you don't normally open an attachment in an email and it pings something.
Right. So they could mark it as malicious right from the get-go if something pings.
Right.
Incidentally, I have seen a legitimate attachment with macros that pings out.
Really?
Right. I think it's a timer in the script or whatever. So it'll ping and then it'll download and then it'll ping some more and then it'll download more data, like maybe a refresh, sort of a timer for refresh, I guess. I have no idea what was going through the guy's mind.
Right.
Because it came from another company to ours, but I traipsed through the document and it was legitimate.
So,
So
could the
kind of weird.
could the malware be, making noise? Is that why it's doing the pinging so much, or is it just actually making sure that it, has enough time to, sit below the surface?
I think it's just trying to evade sandboxes. Now, I'm sure sandboxes have caught up to that, and they've updated their tools, and they're not immune, or they're immune to that now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure initially that it really fooled them.
Yeah.
The malwareans would have to move on to something else. But the good thing about LogMD is you can do it in a lab box, a bare bones machine, no VMs. So if it detects VMs and decides to die, well, it's not going to detect a VM because you're running on bare bones. So
sure,
that's what I do.
Okay.
And yeah, check out the video. It's only 5 minutes.
You'll
and
give me
we'll
a
post
link,
more.
right?
Links in the show notes, or it should be. log-md.com, right?
Will be.
It's the only video.
Oh, okay. It's the only video. It's the only link on the webpage there. So.
Well, it's the only video on the webpage, right?
Okay. Yeah, we'll work. Maybe we'll work on that later. I'll get you some software that does something that shows video and audio or something. So maybe we can work on that and help you guys out. So
you didn't go to the site, did you?
No, I don't want. You probably shouldn't go to the site either with your internet connection being the way it is. So
well,
I know you're on SneakerNet right now. Okay, so let's play nice with the internet.
Well, okay, so we all had to do our speed test at the beginning of the podcast. And what did mine say?
It said error, can't connect.
Your internet's not working.
Yeah, yours is busted.
So
it's too slow.
Yeah. Womp womp. All right, so I'm going to skip down because we do have some news that we'd like to talk about, but I really have something I need to talk about because Miss Amanda and Mr. Betcher are doing awesome things and I'm not. So I need to talk about something that's going on at work. I normally don't bring my work problems into the podcast, but I've had something that's been bothering me the last week, and it's actually kind of it segs well into our book club because last week we did a couple chapters on policies, and I'm having trouble writing policies at work. And I brought it up to Miss Amanda, and she said, "Yeah, I've only been at one place that actually does it right. Everyone else does it. Everyone does it differently, and not everybody does it properly." So my problem is the way that I've been asked to write our policies at work is to kind of align them with a compliance framework that we're trying to get to. So I'm taking this policy and it's like, oh yeah, we're using FedRAMP. We're trying to do FedRAMP. We're trying to do PCI and that stuff. So I'm looking at the IA controls in FedRAMP, and you can go and download the controls for this stuff. But there's a whole laundry list of things that, like these controls are supposed to follow. And I'm supposed to write this into the policies, but when I write policies, I try to write them conversationally. Like the way that I've been tasked with doing them reads more like an RFC, where it's like, oh, blah will do this or blah will do that. And I'm like, I don't really think that wills and shalls and musts are what belong in a policy. It seems to be, it would be more like what you should already be doing in that case. So this is how we do this policy. This is how we handle it so that we satisfy our policies. So I was wanting to get Amanda and Mr. Betcher's thoughts on how policies are done at their organizations or how they've seen them in the past, because I'm really having a hard time getting these done because, one, I'm not a fan of doing policies anyway, but two, it's the concept of aligning them to the compliance requirements is so alien to me that, it feels like I just need to take the 12 points here that they're asking for in IA control number 5 and just writing them in the policy, which is pretty much plagiarism.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy, but I will tell you that you should never use the word should, right? Because it'll get you in trouble. You can write it in such a way that so-and-so is responsible, and not by name but by title.
Mm-hmm.
The CISO is responsible for doing such and such.
Yeah.
In order to do this, or the such and such should be done in the following way, and then start explaining what the policy is. Right.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it, and then mold it after a higher compliance framework that can handle different subsets of frameworks as well.
Yeah.
I think you could have a standard that says should, but I don't think the policy should say the policy. The policy should be
not
strict.
say should.
Sorry, the policy is the one that should be strict. You will do this. You will not do this.
Yeah.
Because it could get you in legal problems if you're not specific enough.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like legally binding if you get in a shitstorm, right?
Yeah.
Because like this is what the policy told me to do. My hands are tied.
Yeah, because I mean, when I get my other job other than doing policies and vulnerability management is filling out questionnaires, and sometimes a company will send us a questionnaire that doesn't have any questions in it. It's basically this company will do this and da da da, and I'm like, whoa, this isn't a security questionnaire. This is a legal document because it's making me say will, and I'm not signing anything because I'm not putting my name on any kind of legal document. When I hear terms like will, must, should, may, those things are like RFC terms, but they're also legal terms. Like you will do this. It creates not indemnification. I mean, it's basically, where you're holding somebody to a requirement instead of saying, okay, this is how we do things at our company. We employ two-factor auth. We do this, we do that, we do this. We will do this because we should have already done this, that kind of thing.
So I've refused to actually perform certain things that I knew I shouldn't be without a policy that strictly says if I should or shouldn't.
Really?
Why?
Yeah. So I worked at a place that basically they were a service provider for schools. So like they housed stuff for the different school what's the word I'm thinking? Well, just different school districts, right? And they would be control of their internet, stuff like that. But we didn't own the school districts. We weren't the same company as the school districts, and they wanted me to perform vulnerability assessments and kind of pen tests on all of their networks without asking. Sure. And there was no policy, and I completely refused. I'm like, I'm not. No. You write me a policy that says this is part of my job, or this is something that I'm asking you to do, or I'm not doing it.
Now, there have been stories that where a guy was doing pen testing and he accidentally knocked something over, and he didn't have a basically get out of jail free card, and he argued that it was part of his job description. Now, that wasn't in your job description to do pen tests at the time, or vulnerability?
No, nope. It's and I wasn't employed, so I was a contractor, but that was their network. Like those school districts own their internal networks. Just because we lease the internet to them, I didn't feel like, because it's not our network.
Right.
It's that's not anything that we're in control of.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to do it without asking and without telling them.
Yeah, that sounds like there'd be a legal issue there. So there'd have to be, some kind of policy or statement of work update. And those aren't policies. Those are actual legal documents. And your get out of jail free card from the school systems would be, that would be different. But I mean, there'd have to be some kind of compliance reason or, unless you guys are just worried that your network was going to be hacked. But yeah, I can understand putting that into a policy to, yes, we are doing regular updates. We are doing regular, patch management. We're doing vulnerability checks on all of our networks, and, we're asking third parties to do so. Those are policies you want to put into place. But yeah, I don't know. We talked about this in book club. I know Mr. Betcher and them did, but policies are, I thought it's supposed to be a lot simpler just to write them out. I mean, maybe it's the way that.
And it could be. I mean, I guess it depends on what your goal is in the end.
Yeah.
If you want, you could have it. You could have both languages of the policy. I imagine you could have this is what you will do, and this is what we are doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or those could be two separate documents.
Yeah. Now you told me before the show that you've only worked at one place where they did the policies correctly. What did they do to, in your opinion, that made the policies correct? Or made them work properly?
They used strict language in a strict format, and you had to go through the proper channels to make any changes to them. It was a pain in the ass because you had to have certain people sign off, and everybody was in charge of certain policies. You had to have more than one person sign off on it, prove that it was in effect, and then you had to print it out and send it a million different places.
Yeah.
But it was really strict language.
So Bryan, are you in charge of writing these policies?
I'm in charge of helping to write the policy, so
And so you mentioned that you thought it would just be plagiarism if you took the stuff out of whatever document it was and used it in the policy. Is that really true though, since it's an internal document?
Well, I mean, the document looks like it came from like NIST's website, or basically, and like one of them was like step A, verifying as part of the initial authenticator distribution the identity of the individual, group, role, or device receiving the authenticator. This is all for multi-factor and two-factor auth, which we talked about last week, ironically enough. But the idea is that we're either supposed to be doing that already, or we're going to put in the policy that we're going to do it and then implement that as we're going along, because the FedRAMP policy, the FedRAMP requirements are long, and I think the whole process is convoluted, but it's going to take a series, almost a year to get through all of this and to get ourselves into the FedRAMP pipe. But
so I also feel that like you could have a policy and not necessarily be in compliance with it.
Yeah. See, I mean,
so
that
would be like a compliance audit. Maybe you would have a separate section saying what policies you're actually in compliance with.
Yeah.
Or which ones you're working towards.
Okay. So like a section at the end, like, this is what we currently follow according to the wording in this policy, right, and then these are the ones that are still needed. That's an interesting thought. I mean, as a check, that's what we have actually in the spreadsheet that's got this NIST document. We have like whether or not this is in place. So, whether or not it's in place in the policy, and then whether or not we do it in practice. So, because everything kind of flows into place. Without the policy, you can't enforce it being done. So it's kind of a catch-22. If you're not doing it, then it looks bad putting it in the policy. But if you don't have it in the policy, you can't enforce it in the first place. So
because we went through this huge policy overhaul because we were stagnant for such a long time. Mm-hmm. And then there was like a big change in management and everything, and we had people come in and help write policies and help tell us what policies we needed. And we had a lot of policy before we had any infrastructure to support it.
Right. Well, the idea is, I guess you're going to be building it properly, so you're going to be writing out the policies to fit that. So
yeah, I think you need to. Well, I guess it depends on the organization, but you should probably write your policies even though you're not following them, and you'll have the faster track to achieving that.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially when people don't want to follow them.
True. Yep. You have to get upper management to sign off.
Right.
Otherwise,
like they said, you have to do it. It's right here in the policy.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. Plus, you got to go back and review these regularly anyway to make sure that they still make sense, and that any and the idea is if you've made any architectural changes or any guidelines that have changed, or you've added new positions or people, then you're supposed to update these on the reg. So
how are you going to shut down a Tor node if you don't have a policy that says you can't have
Tour
whatever
nodes.
a tour node entails in. You
Right.
probably wouldn't say tour node specifically, but you could say, um,
Please put dark web in a policy.
yeah,
Cyber.
right. Well, show me the policy where it says I can't have this, and then you don't
Right.
have it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of these policies are written fairly generically, so you could say, well, it's against acceptable use policy. You could always say the acceptable use policy.
Yep.
So, I mean, all right. So, what is the best format for policies? I mean, when I worked as a consultant for about 6 months doing audits for a couple of hospitals, I went into a couple of hospitals and I was like, hey, give me your policies, and they're like, well, we only have one policy document. And I'm like,
What?
Okay, could you email that to me? They're like, it's a little big. Could we put it on a thumb drive? Now, to be fair, this was like 2008, 2009. So thumb drives weren't as naughty as they were now. But
Right.
it was like 100 megs, and it was like 800 pages. And it was basically just one long policy. And I'm like,
Wow.
how do you follow this? How do you maintain this? And they're like, well, it is kind of difficult. I'm like, you think?
So the hospital I worked at, we had, like each director was in charge of their department's policies, but there was one format.
Right.
Like you had the policy owner, you had the revision, you had the revision date, you had the name, description, all that kind of stuff on the policy. And then they were in charge of gathering their department's policies and putting in the big giant master policy book,
right?
Which was like,
ginormous.
A couple thousand pages, right?
Well, yeah, because they're legally required to have a paper copy on hand.
Yeah.
They have to have a paper copy, even though everything's electronic.
There's a couple auditors I remember that would come in and that would be one of the things that they would check.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I was thinking about was maybe that there's the other thing was we had policies that we could give hospitals that didn't have, say, an acceptable use policy, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't have one, we're working on one, but it's really difficult to do. And we're like, here's a policy, all you got to do is change $company to yours and then put it in, which in hindsight was probably not good because they weren't really making sure that it fit their organization.
Right.
Policies that kind of have to fit your organization. Otherwise they, and there's tons of templates out there to be able to just, gen up a bunch of useless stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, the ones on NIST I think are pretty good, but yeah, you have to make sure it actually makes sense.
Yeah. I'm wondering if NIST has like template guidelines so that I can just take those controls and kind of massage the wording so that it doesn't, I'm not good with words. So I don't, I don't. My wife.
Would you like me to send you a LMGTFY?
You will not send me an LMGTFY. Thank you very much. You're such a solid bastard, Mr. Betcher. Yeah. So I mean, that was some of the issues I'm having. I'm sure I'm not the only person out there who's doing the work of the great unwashed. So if you have any thoughts or questions or suggestions, hit us up on Slack or email us. Let us know how you get over dealing with the policies. If you just have your toadies do it or whatever. This is the this is the unglamorous stuff of InfoSec, I think.
Right, for
just
sure.
Don't I guess be too hard on yourself on these documents. Just write them. Get them done. The first version. As long as they have the substance, it doesn't matter about all the the wording and that kind of thing. As long as it says what you want it to say, you'll probably, your company will hire some policy Nazi one day and he'll come in there and change the wording to something that actually makes sense to lawyers. And then you'll be fine.
Yeah,
as long as the policies are created that say what you need them to say, and you get it over with. You don't spend 2 years trying to finish it.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. The lady that is our compliance lady, she's great until she actually puts on her compliance hat, and then she has a certain way she wants to do these policies, and I'm like, this is so not the way I would write a policy. But she's the one trying to get us through this process, not me. So I'm like, I either have to adapt or die. So it's just
a lot of our policies had to go through our legal team.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like acceptable use and 2-factor auth and outside vendor stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But at least you'll get that first version out, right?
That's
and
true.
And then they can edit it if needed.
Well, the problem is it's only 20 controls. I should be able to do 20 controls, but it's taken me all week just to do like 7. And
I don't doubt it.
When she went through them, she was like, "Oh yeah, this could have been better. This could have been a little more wills and musts and stuff." And I was like, "Okay, I suck at this. I know." And she's like,
"I was going to say hand her a pen, but I guess today you would just hand her a keyboard or something."
Yeah. Handed her the link to Office 365 and worked on there. So, yeah. Oh well, I'm done. I probably should rant less about this, but it just bothered me, because I can imagine that there's people out there who are having to write policies themselves, and it must be a difficult proposition in some cases. Because 1, you have to know if your company's actually doing it. 2, does the wording you're putting in make sense? Because other people are going to have to look at this, read it, and comprehend what you're trying to say. And of course, like Amanda said, it's got to pass legal. It's got to pass some legal requirements. It's got to make sense to the legal folks as well. So, all right. So, what do you guys want to talk about? I wanted to talk about the IAPP.org article, which I found interesting. I did not realize that this has become such a problem.
Which one?
Employers facing privacy issues because of encrypted messaging apps.
Yeah, me neither.
So according to IAPP.org, which is the International Association of Privacy Professionals, they were saying that the National Law Review is reporting that businesses are facing issues when they use encrypted messaging apps, or when the employees use encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp, iMessage. Those are just the more well-known ones, but most people are using Telegram, Signal, Wire. A number of different, even Facebook Messenger, I guess, has a secret, status type thing now. So, but they're worried that, if you put software on your mobile devices to monitor those things, if you're using encrypted comms, you can't monitor the encrypted comms because they're encrypted.
I guess. I mean, if you want that much control, you can just block the apps.
That is true. Well, I mean, you can't really. Can you block iMessage on Apple devices? I mean, it comes kind of inherent with the OS, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking like WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so they're saying that the problems are more pronounced for companies that BYOD, because people want to use what they want to use, and it's their private device. They just happen to have work emails and such on it.
Well, at some point, they're going to have to make a choice.
Yeah.
They want to crack down on this stuff, or they want to allow their employees to have the freedom. I mean,
check your phones you check your phones at the door, or you have the risk of some of that data leaking.
Well, I guess this goes back to the policy stuff too. It's like, acceptable use. I'm not going to use encrypted comms on my phone. If you don't feel comfortable with that, I guess you could have a second phone, or you could do like an iPod Touch, or something that doesn't have a cellular device if you don't want to pay for the extra time. I think if you're using work, if you're using your personal device for work, you probably should get reimbursed for that. I mean, if you elect to use your personal device, I mean, you do run the risk of having updates breaking your phone, or running things like AirWatch, which is MDM software, which is a pain in the ass sometimes.
Yeah.
So you're writing a policy as we speak, right?
Yeah. On MDM.
Amanda's typing a policy on
no
device. Yeah.
No.
But I mean, again, I guess it matters on your threat model. If you're in a company that deals with a lot of sensitive information, and I'm thinking more along the lines of salespeople, or people who are using their phones to access sensitive data, not just emails, but I mean, you should have a policy like that to say, okay, we know you're going to use these apps because it's impossible to really block those without causing consternation, but you should, not put sensitive data on these. I mean, that's like social media, there's social media policy. Don't discuss business sensitive stuff on Facebook or,
right.
So, I mean, these are, I didn't think it was a big issue, but apparently, they think it is over there at IAPP. So,
well, if you paint yourself in a corner by having a lot of sensitive data that you don't want to get out, but then you allow employees to use personal devices and other apps that can hide or obfuscate that data, then, that's that's a problem you need to get out of, right?
Yeah. I mean, you should definitely limit your mobile device's ability to access data. No VPN connections if possible, that kind of stuff. So,
yep.
Yeah. And, if you're a company and worried about that kind of thing, there's software out there that you can use to manage your mobile devices to, lock those things down. And, buy your employees' phones. So that way you can control them. If you give them...
I mean, it's you're always going to have problems with data leakage, right? Because there's so many, unless you disable copy and paste and screenshots and
True.
whatever, most people don't lock down their USB ports. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like encrypted apps is probably the least of everybody's worries.
That is true. I mean, the fact that people are still thinking BYOD is an issue is kind of telling. I think for the older companies that are starting to embrace technology, I think these are the growing pains that they're suffering from, because it's like, oh man, everybody wants cell phones. Back in my day, we used abacuses and we liked it.
So. Speaking of which, I get to go talk to a bunch of senior men in June. I found so.
June, what are you doing in June?
I was sending a link to an article I wrote that was on my blog to somebody, and I noticed there was a comment on it that I hadn't read from November.
Okay.
And there's this business journal, like local to me, that I write for every other month.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody had read it and went to my blog to contact me, and to contact me, all they did was write a comment on one of my posts.
Great.
I don't read that stuff. So yeah, it was about talking to a bunch of old guys about credit card security.
Oh, good.
So I'll talk to them about abacuses too.
There you go. Should tell them, okay, if you want me to come and talk to you, send me a picture of your credit card front and back. And you'll get somebody sending it to
you. Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much. The odds are in your favor.
Exactly. So as if mobile device security isn't bad enough, because one of the things you can do by, securing your employees' devices is by using fingerprint lock,
right.
And unlock. For some reason, scientists got bored and thought, hey, let's try to make a master fingerprint that can unlock any device.
Yes.
Why? Why do we want to do this?
Why not? That sounds, yeah, it's bad, but that sounds pretty cool.
It's cool, but yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
The only thing that bothers me about this article is they say PIN number.
Oh, right. Like
PIN number. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Like CC card or NIC card.
I just stopped reading after that.
Yeah, so this was actually on Popular Science, which I stopped reading when I was in high school. I didn't even know they, actually still were around.
Oh, I was reading the Digital Trends one.
Oh, right. Okay.
But it might be the same.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same stuff. Yeah. So they're saying that the sensors on phones like the Samsung and the Pixel, because I don't even use the fingerprint thing on the Pixel to unlock it, but they said they're not sensitive enough to catch. What they say? Damn it, what do they call that? They called it something minutia points. Yes. So like ridge splits, they call them, and bifurcations. There's little spots. They call it the minutia that would make fingerprints more unique. So basically, they're saying that the resolution on these fingerprint readers aren't good enough to catch everything. So they can create a master fingerprint that could pretty much unlock everything. Or if they can't figure out a master one, they could break it down to like 4 possible combinations to make, getting into it a lot easier.
I suppose that's possible, just looking at it myself.
Yeah.
Because there are, computers are fallible in that they could reach some sort of a place in their algorithm where there's no getting out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a self-driving car that is inside of a circle of white lines that they technically can't cross. So they'll just go around in circles in the parking lot, things like that.
Yeah.
You could reach a point in a computer where it just breaks down. And this is one of those cases, I think.
Yeah. Well,
and they've theorized that this is possible. Now the thing is, they got to build it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the first step when a bunch of smart guys get together and say, "Hey, this is something that we could possibly do based on our observations and this, that, and the other." I would give them a shot at being able to do it. Seems plausible.
Well, what they're doing is they're banking on the in biometrics. There's something called the false acceptance rate and the false rejection rate, which if you put your thumb on somebody else's phone, there's such a percentage of chance that it will either accept your wrong thumbprint, or if the guy who actually owns the phone logs in and tries to use his thumb, there's a chance that it will reject his actual thumb, which is the one he's supposed to use to log in. So
right.
what they're doing is they're banking on the fact that those are far enough, to the greater than 1 to 10% or 15%, where they can actually create with enough fingerprints a print that will either hit the false acceptance or the false accept rate, basically.
And I bet you those are going to be different depending on software and device, and because you use biometric stuff people use biometric stuff for so many different things. You use it to get into buildings, doctors use it to sign medical records. So it's not just getting into phones, but
the other thing is there's so many fingerprints here on my desk and on the screen of my phone. They wouldn't even need a master fingerprint. All they'd have to do is
need a
lift.
piece of tape.
Exactly. And a gummy bear,
Right.
So, yeah. That's why I've never been a fan of using thumbprints for biometrics or there's other methods of biometrics that are useful. They've looked at like heart rate. They've looked at like body chemistry. You could even use a drop of blood if you wanted to be weird about it.
I can't wait till we get to that.
Easy,
oh,
Angelina Jolie. Remember she had that necklace with Billy Bob's blood in it or whatever?
Oh, right.
And she was dating Billy Bob? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to do that. Hold on. I can send a text.
Yeah. Okay. You're quite the catch. Okay.
Well, they've had things like this. They've had things like this for quite a while. Like for people who have been convicted multiple times of DWI, they have the little blowers on their car, right? So they have to cross a certain threshold in order to be able to start it.
Yep. Yeah, you blow into the tube, and if you're drunk, the car won't start. So it's got a kill switch on it. So that's pretty cool. There's quite a few people that maybe we should they should be blowing into a tube before they can text or log into a computer anyway.
Sometimes I wish that were a thing too.
Drunk Facebooking is a thing, people.
I think there's a little device that you can get for your phone.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
That you can it will lock down certain parts of your phone maybe and not let you if you blow a certain number.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
I think I remember seeing that.
I do know Google Mail has if you're worried about drunk emailing somebody, you have to solve like a math problem before it will allow you to go through.
Right. I just Google it.
Yeah.
Every publicist wants that now.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, I don't want to talk about the shadow broker stuff. That just came out today, and everybody's still analyzing everything that's going on. So I really don't want to talk about that.
Well, it's Configure 2.0, man. Come on.
According to some of the tweets I saw with Dave Kennedy, he said, we almost got rid of MS08067, but apparently its big brother showed up. So apparently there's some stuff inside that is even nastier than MS08067.
This thing. Sorry to go back to that, but it's called the backtrack. It's transferring your smartphone into a breathalyzer.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Very nice.
Well, when the first image on there is Windows XP, it's like, well, okay, fine.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I there's going to be so much coming through. The only thing I can say is that this is not. I hate to say worse than Snowden because that's what media people say, and they really don't understand. But I say it's probably worse than the WikiLeaks stuff that came out because
it seems like it.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is some fairly heavy duty stuff, so it's quite interesting. And I think we've only hit the tip of the iceberg, and it's gonna.
There's some of those some of the tools I mentioned will root a remote exploit for fully patched Windows 7 boxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also saw some tweets about. It also affects Windows 10, fully patched Windows 10 as well. So there's some.
Yep.
You guys better watch that video then, huh?
Yes.
And we're back full circle. That's right. And it's not even malware, Mr. Betcher. This is just vulnerabilities that are patches. So I mean, it's not malware. I mean, it'll be weaponized for sure. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If it isn't already.
Yep. So, all right. Well, I'm done this week. You guys have anything else you want to talk to on the show notes?
My book is out.
Oh, that's right. It came out. It's Dead Tree version.
I got it today in my hands. I was jumping up and down. I was so happy to finally just have it in my possession.
Very nice. You can go to the show notes for
finally pays off.
Yes.
Yep, she'll be leaving us to go swim in her big bin of money.
Right. I'm gonna get it all printed out in ones.
As long as you have beer and Twinkies.
Yes. That's what I'm gonna buy. Is just beer and Twinkies.
Bathtub full of natty light and.
Ew. No.
Goodness. So the show notes has a link to the O'Reilly store where you can buy her book, the Dead Tree version, or you can buy the ebook version. And you know what? Once you buy that book, why don't you come over to our Slack and do the damn book club with us? Because
they also have the bundle thing now that it's live.
Bundle?
If you want both, yeah. I guess before when it was in pre-release, you had to buy them both for full price, but now you can bundle for like $4 more or something like that.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So go over there. She gets a little bit of money, a little bit of a kickback, So
like 2%,
and if you're at B-Sides Huntsville, you can get it signed and buy a copy, maybe.
B-Sides Nashville.
Oh, I'm sorry, B-Sides Nashville. B-Sides Huntsville's already happened.
But by the time this airs, it'll be over.
Is it this week?
It's the 22nd.
Oh yeah, we'll have this out by then.
Okay, all right.
That's right. So you're going to be at B-Sides Nashville. You're going to be keynoting.
I am.
Very nice. Do you know what your talk's going to be on?
Oh yeah, I have it all done. Well, mostly all done. I ran through it once already.
Cool.
And I think it's going to be pretty good.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yep.
I gave a talk at ISSA Rainier this month.
Nice.
Two people showed up.
Oh.
And a third guy showed up late.
Is it a talk at that point?
It was a discussion.
Having a conversation.
It was a discussion. I don't know. It was on WikiLeaks and some incident response talks that I was giving.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah.
I like practicing in front of a small audience anyways, so that's what I'm going to do.
I didn't even stand up. I sat at the table with the other two dudes and did it. So.
Yep, I'm doing that this next week on a Thursday, like right before or Wednesday, right before I go down to Nashville, just because I want to go through it once in front of people.
Cool. All right. Mr. Betcher, do you want to talk about that link there, Jay Beale's class there? because I talked about it last week, so I thought I might want to share the fun.
What?
About the Python?
No. Well, no, the Linux course.
Oh, right, the BlackHat thing.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead, please.
Okay. Damn. All right, so Jay Beale from InGuardians, our friend from InGuardians, is giving a course at BlackHat on securing Linux. We mentioned it last week at the beginning of the show because I actually forgot during the show, so I wanted to make sure I did it this time. So, you'll learn all about SE Linux, AppArmor. You'll how to secure your Linux. Deploying intrusion protection systems, mod security in your web app. So, if you want a good crash course on how to secure Linux properly, hit that link up in our show notes to Jay Beale's course at BlackHat. He's going to be giving it twice during BlackHat, the 22-23 July, and then again 24-25 July. So it's a 2-day course. So there you go. All right, everybody. How does everybody get a hold of Miss Amanda, Miss Berlin, and Mr. Betcher if they wanted to do so? Go ahead, Miss Berlin.
At InfoSister on our Slack channel and on Twitter and on a bunch of other places. INFOSYSTIR.
Yep. Very cool. Mr. Betcher, how about you?
You can hit me up on Twitter at BetcherPwned, or go to the video. There you go.
Right.
Yep. Notice he didn't mention Slack because he's never on there.
My internet connection, man.
I know you actually have work to do, so I can understand that. So
yeah.
So you can follow BreakSec podcast Twitter at BreakSec, BRAKESEC. You can follow me at Bryan Break, BRYANBRAKE. We're on Slack, of course. Our Slack channel, oh my God, our Slack channel is just blowing up. I don't know. We have such a community there that's been built out from these folks. So we have about 300 people on our general channel. That doesn't include who are in our CTF club. Every Tuesday night, we do a CTF session with Miss Berlin. We actually have a subgroup doing the Bandit over the wire game. So one of our enterprising young punks, his name's Chris. He lives in St. Louis. He's
15.
I know, right? And when he's not going to high school, little punk, man. Oh,
right?
God. I wish I had the opportunity he had when I was a kid. I didn't have Slack.
I was doing way different stuff when I was 15.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. So he's running that. He's organizing that. So we've got people doing that. We also have our Python class. Our second Python course of 6 went on Tuesday night. We're running that through a Zoom, which is what we're running through our podcast right now.
Yeah.
So we're learning, some Python. So if you are, needing to strengthen your Python skills, you can join us there. So it's completely free. Our instructor's running it. We've had enough donations. I don't think we need any more, but yeah, there's a lot going on our Slack channel. So you can sign up for that by going to https://breaksec.signup.team, and it's there's a link in the show notes as well. But yeah, we're doing a lot of great stuff over there. We have about 300 people in the Slack. We have a malware and a DFear channel separately. We also have a pen test channel where if you wanted to ask questions about penetration testing, you can do that. Book club, CTF club. Yeah, we got so much going on over there. It's just crazy. So a lot of great people to talk to for networking purposes. So definitely come on over and join us.
And there's no virtual breathalyzers. Anybody can come.
Well, yes. For some people over there need a virtual breathalyzer, Scott. So I have Captain Call Out, man. Oh my goodness, Scott and
that's great.
And Jonathan Beta Wolf. A lot of good people over there. So yeah. So we're also on TuneIn. We're on iHeartRadio. We're everywhere. We're on SoundCloud. All the places in the show notes. We're on iTunes. So if you listen to iTunes, if you could leave us a review, that would be great. We're in the Google Play Store. We have an RSS.
We like them
feed.
Stars.
Yeah, collect them stars. I need some stars. So that was it for this week. We'll be back next week with another Breaking Down Security. So everyone have a great week, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.